Tumawag sa amin at sagutin ang simpleng tanong. At para naman sa online participants, i-like ang RMN DZXL 558 Facebook page. Itag ang 5 kaibigan sa aming Facebook page. At presto, kasali ka na para sa Wi-Fi mo, sagot ng DZXL 558 Radyo Trabaho Extended.
Salamat sa inabis na yung free wifi na ito.
Maraming salamat sa DZXL Radyo Trabaho.
Hati ng RMN DZXL 558 Radyo Trabaho, ang inyong gabay sa hanap buhay.
Lumipas at magbago ang panahon. Iisa at nakatatak ang kauna-unahang himpilan sa paghahatid ng serbisyo publiko at balita. Ito ang Radio Mindanao Networks. Higit 6 na dekada sa paglilingkod sa masang Pilipino. Sa Metro Manila, ito ang DZXL 558 Radyo Trabaho. Ang inyong gabay sa hanap buhay. Ang mga susunod na opinyon at komentaryo ng programang Sapagkat Mahal Kita ay sariling paninindigan at saloobin ng program anchor at hindi kumakatawan sa posisyon ng DZXL RMN Manila. Sapagkat Mahal Kita. Mahal Kita. Filipinos in America, kumusta na sila? Ano ang kanilang istorya?
Yeah, naririnig kayo, Congresswoman dito sa New York area. Can you hear our audio?
Naririnig ko po kayo.
Tingin ng boses, pananaw, saloobin ng mga kababayan natin nasa ibang bansa sa iba't ibang issue sa kanilang pinakamamahal na bayang Pilipinas.
Saan kukuha ng ikabubuhay ang mga mahihirap na ito?
Sapagkat mahal kita, kasama batikang radio broadcaster na si Don Lino mula sa Amerika at co-host na si Lourdes Escaros. Maririnig ng live sa WRMN New York, USA at worldwide sa pamamagitan ng Facebook at sa YouTube. RMN News Nationwide, the sound of the nation. Sapagkat mahal kita. Sapagkat mahal kita. Tuwing linggo, alas 10 hanggang alas 11 ng umaga dito sa Himpilang Extra Large sa komentaryo DZXL 558.
I'm coming home to stay. Maraming beses na kitang nilayasan.
Tingin ng boses, pananaw, saloobin ng mga kababayan natin nasa ibang bansa sapagkat mahal kita.
Ang hirap talagang malimutan.
Maligayang Pasko ho sa inyong lahat, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao.
Sapagkat mahal kita.
Ang kasama mula sa Pilipinas, ako ho si Radyoman Lourdes Escaros.
Sapagkat mahal kita.
Mga may mga hangover, kumusta ho kayo? Puntahan na ho natin yung mga maiinit na usapin mula sa ibang bansa, mula sa RMN, New York, USA.
Sapagkat mahal kita.
Natin si Don Lino, Celle. Good morning.
Sapagkat mahal kita.
At good evening dyan sa Amerika.
Sapagkat mahal kita.
Ng Kapaskuhan, Miss Lourdes Escaros, dito sa Sapagkat Mahal Kita, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, at bumabati kami ni Lourdes sa mga nakikinig dito sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika at sa buong daigdig. Kamusta naging Kapaskuhan dyan, Miss Lourdes Escaros?
Okay naman, Don Lino, masaya at yung normal na pagdiriwang pa rin ng ating mga kababayan. Konting handa, pamimili ng mga regalo, pagbibigayan ng regalo, pera, aginaldo. Walang pinagkaiba rin sa mga nauna at nagdaang mga Pasko. Parang same, parang walang pandemic.
That's very good. Dito, ganun din. You know, alam mo naman ng mga Marokano, mahilig lumabas kapag Kapaskuhan, so hindi nila sinunod yung sinasabing curfew o sila'y pahuhuli sa mga pulis kapag nagpunta sa mga bar at makipag-inuman. So that was accomplished in peace. Masaya sila. Pero mga kapilipinuhan ng American Filipinos, siyempre kaugalian na Noche Buena 24 ng gabi ay nasa mga tahanan kami. At yun para nariwa ang aming kinalakihan many years ago. And I like that. At maganda yung mga anak mo bumibisita sa'yo at kami naman sa darating na bagong taon ay bibisita sa kanila. That's how it works. Pero wala Times Square, the worldwide known na pinakamagandang selebrasyon sa New York City na halos 2 milyon na mga mamamayan buhat sa ibang bansa, pati rito sa Amerika ang tumutungo sa sentro ng New York City. Yung Big Apple na mayroong bumababang kristal, that's I don't know. Wala yon. Nakauna-unahang pagkakataon dito sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika. At merong naganap na dumadaguntong na balita rito sa Amerika, and I'm surprised pati ang CNN ay kinagat na yung balita. Meron silang natiktikan ang mga opisyal sa Nashville, Tennessee noong mga nakakaraang mga araw na may mga nagbabanta na maghahasik ng saging. Okay. Anyway, naganap ng Kapaskuhan yung sinasabing pagbabanta. Dumating ang isang SUV at yung SUV na yon ay nag-anunsyo na pinaalis yung mga tao malapit sa AT&T building. Okay? Kaya nagkagulo at ang mga kapulisan ng Memphis, Tennessee, kinuha lahat ang mga tao at itinaboy, isinakay sa mga patrol hanggang yung tape recording ay umiikot at naririnig ng kung saan bahagi. Nagkaroon ng panik at makalipas ang ilang minuto biglang sumabog ang tinama ng karambas. 41 building ang update ngayon na iniimbestigahan ng Federal Bureau of Investigation Joint Terrorism Task Force. 41. Okay? At meron nang nakita ng mga human remains, katawan ng tao, na nandoon nakakalat sa pinangyarihan. Ang pinaka-latest, Sabado ngayon dito, 26, mga it's less than half an hour ago, ang sinasabi ngayon ng FBI, yung mga labi ay posibleng mga suicide bomber. Nakso, terrible. Huwag naman sana. Napakalaking disgrasya niyan. Kung nakapasok na sa Amerika ang suicide bombers. Okay? Kasi madalas pinag-uusapan dito itong mga nakakaraang bago magpasko, mga hindi nakakaalam, subalit yan na ipinaskil ng kabanlingkod nyo sa aking Facebook na sinasabi ng mga high-ranking military official na ayaw banggitin ng mga pangalan except former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn at kasama yung pinaka-closest ally na abogado ni Trump na mag-declare ng martial law. Now, hindi yung kinakagat ng CNN dito sa Amerika. I don't know about overseas. Hindi kinakagat ng mainstream media. Binabaliwala nila. Pero may mga nagli-leak na may mga naaamoy na may gagawing kasalbahihan ang mga foreign enemy ng Amerika. Pero ito itinanggi lahat ni US President Trump. Sinasabi niya na yan ay totoong ibinibigay sa akin bilang rekomendasyon. Subalit, we'll leave it like that. Nakabitin. Nangyari nga itong pagsabog na ito, kaya lahat ngayon ay, wobbly, meaning na gegewang-gewang, ano kaya ang gagawin ng administrasyong Trump. Pakinggan natin, itong usapan na ito patungkol dyan sa nakakakilabot na naganap sa Memphis, Tennessee sa isang terrorism act.
And put this city at ease. That's NPR's John Burnett speaking with us from Nashville. Thank you, John. Massive explosion shattered the quiet Christmas morning in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Tissue found at the scene as possible human remains. And John, what else do we know at this point?
Well, Sasha, what appears to be a white recreation vehicle drove the entertainment district of Nashville about a block from the Cumberland River and parked in front of an AT&T building. That was just after 1 a.m. Christmas morning. Later that morning, a recording of a woman's voice coming from the RV was warning people to evacuate because it was about to blow up. But at a press conference last night, Mayor John Cooper confirmed it was a bomb deliberately detonated in the heart of his community.
And the blast caused injuries and catastrophic damage to this very historic part of Nashville. Now, at the end of the day, I think all of us, I certainly have gone from relief and determination and resolve.
And John, why this was done is a big question. Do we know anything about it?
We don't yet, Sasha. The FBI is in charge of the case. Federal agents have poured into downtown to look for pieces of the RV and any other evidence. They're reviewing videos from security cameras, and they've asked the public for leads. The police chief, John Drake, singled out the heroism of 6 of his officers. They went door to door evacuating residents in the minutes before the blast as that recorded voice inside the RV warned it was about to blow up. Chief Drake says it appears the bomber...
It's so bizarre, John, that people were warned away since so many of these similar incidents have involved trying to hurt people. How is Nashville coping with this, especially having happened on Christmas Day?
Yeah, well, police have blocked off a large part of downtown and slapped on a curfew to keep folks away. The mayor said 41 buildings were damaged and at least one collapsed entirely. The Red Cross has set up an evacuation center for displaced downtown residents, and damage to that AT&T data center caused communication outages all over town and grounded flights to the airport.
Anything in particular they're looking for?
And then FBI agents combed every inch of the area surrounding the blast. That's the kind of evidence they're looking for here in Nashville to find the bomber and bring them to justice and put this city at ease.
That's NPR's John Burnett speaking with us from Nashville. Thank you, John.
Matindi. Napakalaki nung gusali na yan ng AT&T. At obviously, yung mga empleyado nun, hindi sila makakapunta sa kanilang mga pinaghahanap buhayan doon. At nawala ng komunikasyon ang buong state ng Tennessee at nakaapekto sa ibang mga nakalink na mga telecommunication sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Amerika. Malaki ang nasasakop ng AT&T sapagkat number 1 sa telecommunications dito ang AT&T. At isa sa hub nila yung Tennessee na yan. Bakit yan ang tinarget? Doon inilagay yung SUV at doon pinaputok na sinasabi ngayon more than 45 minutes ago ng FBI na yung mga human remains ay yun ang mga nagpaputok. Mga suicide bombers. Bakit nila alam yun? Dahil yung mga nakabalot sa kanilang mga katawan, doon malalaman na hindi galing yun sa mga sibilyan na tinamaan. So, it's a very dangerous situation. Kaya, panawagan ko rin sa komunidad ng mga Filipino and extend this to the Americans, we have to be vigilant here in the United States. Okay? Especially in New York. We already have a history of being attacked right here in the middle of Manhattan during the September 11. Kaya medyo alalay tayo. We shouldn't go out, kayong mga Pilipino, kung hindi nyo kailangan lumabas. At kapag kayo'y nakakita ng mga sasakyan, na duda kayo sa pagkilos ng mga driver, at iba at kakaiba ang mga pagkilos ng mga drivers, tumawag kayo kagad sa numero ng FBI. You only have to do, kung iPhone ang hawak nyo, dial 911, connect me to the FBI, kakausapin kayo ng FBI, magpapadala kagad yun ng dispatch ng Joint Terrorism Task Force. This is not a joke. 41 gusali ang winasak. Pero ang pinakamalaki ang AT&T. Okay? Kahit na pilipitin pa ng fake news yan at ayaw ilabas ng ibang mainstream media dahil lumalabas ng mga kakuntsaba yan ng mga makakaliwa. That's not important. You have heard the round table who spoke right on the spot. Kung ano nakita niya ron, ano ang mga ginagawa ng FBI, Joint Terrorism Task Force, at inuulit ko, yung mga human remains, ang sinasabi ngayon ng FBI, came from the bombers. Maaring babae, maaring mga lalaki. Dahil doon sa kanilang suot ng mga jacket at meron ng mga nakita na mga gadget. Pag sinabing gadget, mga nakabalot sa kanilang katawan. Delikado yan, inuulit natin, sapagkat kapag yan ay nakapasok sa mga mall at doon pinaputok yan, iba na ang kanilang hangarin nun, talagang mamumuksa ng buhay. Ito nagbabala pa. Ang ginawa nila rito ay pabagsakin lang ang building ng AT&T sa Memphis, Tennessee. Kaya pinakamalaking balita ngayon yan dito sa Amerika at ngayong gabi ng 26 ay kumakalat na ito ngayon. At bukas pa namin makikita ito sa mga pahayagan kung ilalabas ng mga fake news. Pero pakinggan natin muli ito at marami nagpapadala sa akin sa Messenger.
An explosion shattered the quiet Christmas morning in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Tissue found at the scene as possible human remains. And John, what else do we know at this point?
Well, Sasha, what appears to be a white recreational vehicle drove the entertainment district of Nashville about a block from the Cumberland River and parked in front of an AT&T building. That was just after 1 a.m. Christmas morning. Later that morning, a recording of a woman's voice coming from the RV was warning people to evacuate because it was about to blow up. But at a press conference last night, Mayor John Cooper confirmed it was a bomb deliberately detonated in the heart of his community.
And the blast caused injuries and catastrophic damage to this very historic part of Nashville. Now, at the end of the day, I think all of us, I certainly have gone from relief and determination and resolve.
And John, why this was done is a big question. Do we know anything about it?
We don't yet, Sasha. The FBI is in charge of the case. Federal agents have poured into downtown to look for pieces of the RV and any other evidence. They're reviewing videos from security cameras, and they've asked the public for leads. The police chief, John Drake, singled out the heroism of 6 of his officers. They went door to door evacuating residents in the minutes before the blast as that recorded voice inside the RV warned it was about to blow up. Chief Drake says it appears the bomber...
It's so bizarre, John, that people were warned away since so many of these similar incidents have involved trying to hurt people. How is Nashville coping with this, especially having happened on Christmas Day?
Yeah, well, police have blocked off a large part of downtown and slapped on a curfew to keep folks away. The mayor said 41 buildings were damaged and at least one collapsed entirely. The Red Cross has set up an evacuation center for displaced downtown residents, and damage to that AT&T data center caused communication outages all over town and grounded flights at the airport.
Anything in particular they're looking for?
And then FBI agents combed every inch of the area surrounding the blast. That's the kind of evidence they're looking for here in Nashville to find the bomber and bring them to justice and put this city at ease.
That's NPR's John Burnett speaking with us from Nashville. Thank you, John. Matt?
Well, at least marami nang makakaalam yan at na-disseminate natin ng maayos yan. You have to remember that's only past, few minutes yung ibinigay ng Joint Terrorism Task Force, FBI. Okay? At yung pangyayari ay 24 oras pa lang. Sapagkat tayo ngayon ay lumipas lang ang araw ng Pasko. Kahapon lang yun. Malungkot, Miss Lourdes, Escaros. Anyway, ito ay dahil sa mga nagkakainitan, sa mga ginagawa ng mga abusado ng mga Democrats, mga leftist governors, na katulad ng California, na nawalan nga ng hanap buhay ang mga negosyante ron na humigit kumulang 31,000. Napakarami nun. Pero siya lagi nakikita na nagdi-dinner sa mga medyo tiklase na mga restaurant. Pero yung mga tao, sinasabi niya na huwag kayong lalabas, mahuhuli ko kayo sa aking mga pulis. There is something wrong with Newsom. Kaya napuno na ang mga taga-California. Nakakuha na sila ng kulang-kulang 2 milyon na signatures para magkaroon immediately ng eleksyon. Immediately. At siya ay matanggal na. At lumaban ng mga Democrats uli o kaya may makikilahok ng mga Republicans. But they want that son of a gun out of the governor's office because he is a cuckoo, a nincompoop, a son of a bitch, that idiot. Governor Newsom of California. That's right. Ano ang gusto niyang mangyari? Itong mga nagkakainitan sa politika at itong Pangulo ng Amerika na si Trump ay naninindigan na hinahabol niyang lahat ang mga nantaya na alam naman ng buong Amerika. Kaya walang makapalag sa kanila na talagang pandaraya ang ginawa nila. Yung stupido rito sa Amerika maniniwala na naganap na eleksyon. Pero narito, pakinggan natin ang latest dyan sa sa California sa inyo, you're 3 hours behind right here sa New York.
California residents are fed up with Governor Gavin Newsom's lockdowns and are fleeing the Golden State by the thousands. One America's Pearson Sharp has more, as San Francisco sees the biggest exodus of residents in the entire country.
Governor Gavin Newsom's oppressive lockdowns are hurting Californians across the state, but San Francisco is being hit especially hard. Since last year, San Francisco has been hit with a massive 43% plunge in sales tax revenue. Experts, including San Francisco's chief economist Ted Egan, explained that drop from April to June involved thousands of residents fleeing the most expensive city in all of America. Egan clarified that the drop in revenue was not due to the pandemic, but rather an exodus of residents from San Francisco, a trend that has only accelerated since the lockdowns began. Silicon Valley companies offering their employees the option of working remotely has also resulted in residents moving to less expensive cities or even out of the state. United Van Lines reported that outbound moving requests soared 128% above the national average just in September. All those residents fleeing has also resulted in a 20% drop in rent prices for October, the largest yearly decline ever recorded and more than any other city in the country. But the mass exit is no surprise to anyone familiar with San Francisco's situation, where Gavin Newsom's lockdown has destroyed over 54% of the city's small businesses. Restaurants have been some of the hardest hit, with over 60% that were forced to close temporarily remaining permanently closed. In San Francisco, more than 370 restaurants that closed for the pandemic will never open their doors again, as Democrats sit back and do nothing. As a result, more Californians than ever are calling for the lockdowns to be lifted and Gavin Newsom to be removed from office. Recall Gavin 2020 is fighting to do just that, and organizers say anyone who's interested can visit the site recallgavin2020.com to download and sign a petition or donate money and contribute to the cause. The effort must collect roughly 2 million signatures to remove the governor, and organizers say for simply the price of a postage stamp, Californians could see a new governor in office by next March. Pearson Sharp, One American News.
God dog it, you know. Ngayon, natataranta si Gobernador Talyada Newsom. Ay pinagmamalaki niya tulad na nabanggit ko last week. Dahil merong dating eh. You know, may pera siyang artista ba? Kaya yung isang mukhang aswang na babae ron, ewan ko kung Amerikana yun, o Espanyol, o itim, I don't know. Billionaire. Inasawa siya. Ayun ang kanyang backer. Umaarte ng diktador. Dahil dito sa Amerika, kapag gobernador ka, ikaw ang may hawak ng iyong state. Maliban na lang kung pupwisit sa'yo ang Pangulo ng Amerika, pwede ka talagang pilipitin. Pero hindi siya pinakikialaman. Dahil kusang lumulubog ang negosyo ng Los Angeles na napakagandang kung nasaan ang Hollywood, ang San Francisco kung nasaan ang Golden Bridge, San Diego kung nasaan ang shipyard ng mga barko ng Amerika, sa bahaging yan, I mean, binababoy nitong Governor Newsom na ito. Kaya sana, sa inyong mga nakikinig ng mga Filipino, sa halip na kayo'y makisama dyan sa mga makakaliwa o mga leftist, magkontribusyon kayo kahit piso sa $1. Puntahan nyo yung recallnewsom2020.com. Makakarating yung mga salapi nyo. Isipin nyo kung kayo 1 milyon. na nagkamali kayo na bumoto dyan sa animal na yan, na sa Governor Newsom. Oh, that's $1 million. Magagamit ngayon yun ng non-profit organization na sa himpapawid sa lahat ng radyo, sa lahat ng television na ngayon, maliban lang sa peking CNN, Fox. Binigyan sila ng libreng oras. Pagmula nung bumagsak ang rating ng Fox, na nagalit ng mga conservatives dito, bibigay na sila ngayon ng free airtime dyan sa mga pagsugpo, sa mga abusado ng mga Democrats. Anyway, ang isa pa, para malaman nyo mga happenings dito sa Amerika, nangako si Trump sa mga tao na talagang hindi siya papayag kung hindi $2,000 ang ibibigay sa isang pamilya. Okay? Matigas talaga ang ulo ng ng Kongreso. Kinakalaban si Trump na sabi $2,000. Kailangan lang niya, bigyan lang niya 600. Naiinis itong si US President Trump. Kaya sinabi niya, kung ganun ang gagawin niyo, hindi ko pipirmahan yan. Sapagkat siya pa rin ang boss. Ibibito niya yan. Kaya pakinggan natin yung bagay na yan sapagkat nagkakainitan ngayon sila dyan sa tinatawag na stimulus package o relief. Eto.
$900 billion worth, including a second round of stimulus checks. Americans making $75,000 or less will start receiving $600 checks as soon as next week. That's half the amount people got in the first round of direct payments. Couples making less than $150,000 are also eligible for the money. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer stressed this is an emergency bill.
This bill cannot and will not be the final word on congressional relief from the corona pandemic.
Payments will be phased out, with individuals making $99,000 and couples making $200,000 getting nothing. Fox's Rachel Sutherland, millions of Americans struggling as the pandemic's economic toll continues for now. $900 billion worth, including a second round of stimulus checks. Americans making $75,000 or less will start receiving $600 checks as soon as next week.
Dun sa inyo na umaasa na makakatanggap kayo dahil there are 2 million Filipinos here at kayo nadatnan nung last bigayan nitong 2019, di ba? Nabigyan kayo ng $600. Ang gusto ni Trump, gawing 2,000 ang isang pamilya. Okay? Ayaw ng ng mga Democrats sapagkat mas gugustuhin daw nila na ibigay din sa kanila yung gusto nila. Ano yun? Magbibigay ng mahigit $1 bilyong sa military ng Pakistan. Anong pag-uutak niya mga yan? Naghihirap yung mga tao rito na kumikita ng disente pero hindi makapasok sa mga trabaho nila dahil yung mga opisina nilang maliliit, nagsarahan na. Abay doon sa stimulus package, sinaksakan na 1% of that should go to overseas. At doon sa overseas na yon, sana ko ibibigay doon sa mga human rights violators o gano'n para masugpo yung mga ganyan sa mga maliliit na bansa. Hindi. Ibibigay mismo doon sa mga terorista na binahaya ni Osama bin Laden. Pakistan. Billions and billions of dollars na ibibigay doon para pumunta sa kanilang military. What the hell is wrong with these people? At dito, sa loob ng Amerika, wow! Yung kanilang tinatawag na mga pasosyal, na mga museum. Okay? Kailangan pagandahin. Billions and billions of dollars. Doon sa 900 billion na unang sigwada na ibibigay na stimulus. At yung natitira, kaya $600 lang ang mabibigay doon sa mga talagang nangangailangan. Kaya doon nagagalit si Trump. Sinasabi ni Trump, itigil niya yung pagbibigay ng military aid sa Pakistan at yung mga museum yung kaartihan na yan, pagsamahin nyo, isama rito sa 900 billion na yan para buo at makapagbibigay tayo ng mas malaki na tulong sa mga nangangailangan. Kasama dyan ang mga Pilipino na mga, alam mo na, tumatanggap. Dahil, ang kinikita nila below 200,000 a year. Ginawang 99 ang threshold. 99,000. Mas maganda pa. Kasi kung 100,000 na kinikita rito ng isang, empleyado, napakalaking salapi yun. 100,000 a year. Hindi dapat tumanggap yun ng kahit na ano sa gobyerno. Di lalo na yung mga 200,000. That's right. So wala kami problema ron. Basta't maibigay lang doon sa mga kawawa na mga nangangailangan ng tulong, hindi na balik kami na hindi nabibigyan ng ganyan. Pero kami naapektuhan din psychologically dahil iniisip namin, ito tax ito eh. Sa amin ang gagaling ito ng mga sinasabi nila na medyo mataas ang mga sweldo, kasama dun sa within the range of the 10% high-earning Americans, pupunta sa Pakistan yung pera ay binabayad namin sa taxes at doon sa kanilang mga pasosyal dyan sa Washington, D.C. Mrs. Maria Joseph. Ako. Anyway, ito ang reaksyon sa nagkakainitan dyan sapagkat hindi talaga pipirmahan niya ni US President Trump. I don't believe so. Pakinggan natin ang dating press secretary ng White House tungkol dyan sa issue na yan.
He's also former White House press secretary. What is in your estimation, the strategic reason why President Trump waited until kind of the 11th hour to put his foot down about these stimulus payments?
Everybody looks awful in this process. There are people who are struggling, the unemployed, who deserve help. There are people who are working who don't deserve help. And they've messed this whole thing up. The most important thing to the economy is to open up the economy, open up businesses, and stop shutting things down. That's how you help people. You don't help people through government checks. That's a temporary measure. The real solution is to get back to the economic growth that existed pre-pandemic, which you have to give President Trump credit for. The poverty rate was the lowest since 1958 prior to the pandemic. Poor people were the help the most during the Trump years until the pandemic. So no, government spending is not the answer. Open the economy, let people do what they want to do, go back to work.
That's right. Go back to work. Maghanap buhay ka. Pagkat yung mga iba, kalalakas, malakas pa sa elepante, matanggap. Kaya kailangan, salain lahat, magtrabaho. Yun ang sinasabi ni Ari Fletcher na isang ikinagalang na naging White House official. Kailangan niya magtrabaho yung mga yan. Mapuwera yung mga lola, lolo, at yung may mga kapansanan, mga kabataan, nakawawa naman, mahihirap. Yun ang dapat bigyan. Nasa listahan na yan nila Trump. Pero yung mga iba, na talagang makikita mo nakapila sa mga opisina ng social welfare, tumatanggap $1,000. Yan ay mapuwera pa dun sa COVID o coronavirus na stimulus. Natanggap sila ng $1,000 para meron silang pambayad sa kanilang mga apartment, para may pambigay sa kanilang mga mistresses, pangbili ng mga marijuana. Yan ang malaking problema rito eh. Kaya sila nagagalit kay Trump dahil nililinis nga ni Trump yung kawalang hiyang yan. Buti na lang itong Pangulong ito, talagang hindi aatras ito. Right now, tagilid si Kalansay Biden. Lalo na nagkaroon siya ng problema sa kanyang anak, na ngayon ay talaga sinusugsug na ng FBI. At kinakain na rin ng mainstream ang balita. Dati ikinuble. Lalo na ang Facebook, ang Big Tech, at ang Twitter. Ngayon, hindi na. Sapagkat kumalat na dahil pinanatan ng Wall Street Journal at pinara na rin ng Washington Post. Kung matutuloy man ang pag-upo ni Kalansay Biden, sakit ng ulo ang kanyang aabutin. Baka hindi siya tumagal ng ilang araw dyan eh. I don't know. You know what I mean? Pakinggan natin to.
Because there are some factors that do justify taking a real close look and possibly appointing a special prosecutor.
So, is there any sense in which Biden having the Attorney General or the Attorney General for Biden deciding on his own to appoint a special counsel could be actually helpful to President-elect Biden and his entire administration? Because if you think about it, right, this is ammo that his opponents have to use against him about how he's entering office with a conflict of interest. Handing all of this off to a special prosecutor would be an opportunity for Biden to say, look, I'm not touching this thing. I have nothing to do with it. I have no purview. I have no say here whatsoever.
If I'm President-elect Biden and I want to be able to mend fences among individuals across this country, there are two issues that I think he should be taking a different approach to. And one is to indicate very strongly that he wants the investigation to go forward. He'll appoint a special prosecutor, or he'll leave a special prosecutor in place to do a thorough review, that he believes in his son, but that he also believes in justice. And on the other issue, the election, and satisfying others that the machines are looked at and other things are looked at, allegations are either proven or they are refuted. And that would give him strength going into his administration.
Brent, take a listen to Alyssa Farah. She's
the fact that these different scandals did not come to light ahead of the election, frankly, was a disservice to the American public, who wasn't able to fully vote with an informed perspective about the different conflicts of interest that Hunter Biden, the incoming president's son, has.
Malaking issue yan ni Biden. Nakikita siya sa mga telebisyon. Pag siya'y tinatanong ng media, hindi sumasagot. Kaya nagagalit sa kanya ang Fox News. Dati, kinampihan siya ng Fox News. Ang Fox News ang naging daan para siya manalo. Sapagkat yun ang nag-call ng Arizona kahit hindi pa tapos ang bilangan. Kaya milyon-milyon ang nawala ng mga nanonood sa Fox. Bagsak ang rating ng Fox. Ngayon bumabangon dahil binibira siya araw-araw. Mr. President, yan bang anak mo na di umano ay sinasabi ng Federal Bureau of Investigation na tumanggap ng $250 milyon sa hindi nagbayad ng tax at iniimbestigahan ng IRS? At sino yung sinasabing mastermind, Mr. President? Ang nagtatanong si Peter Doocy ng Fox. Yung ibang mga reporters, ang mga tanong, Talaga walang yung media talaga, oh. Nakakahiya eh. Ay, Mr. President, what is your favorite ice cream? Did you have a nice sleep last night? Because, it was Christmas time. Ulul! Walang hiyang mga babae at lalaking mga Amerikana to. Halo ng mga Chinese. Na ako nakikitang Pilipino kunting ngunguyain ko rito sa mikropono yan. Ang mga tanong ng mga ito para magpalakas kay Biden. Kaya hindi nalalaman ng mga tao ngayon na lang bago magpasko. Kapagkat nagkamali ng sagot si Biden. Sabi niya, there's something wrong with you. Ginanon niya yung si Peter Ducey ng Fox. There's something wrong with me. Why? My job is to ask you questions. Who is the big man taking in $10 billion a month from China? Tumalikod. Sinabi, you have a good time, Ngayon, nagkakahalataan dito na nagkawalangyaan ng eleksyon. Kaya si Trump, iiling-iling na lang. Huli na lahat. Sapagkat kung nalaman niya ang pangyayari na yan, bago mag-eleksyon, iba naging resulta rito ng eleksyon. Yung mga kabataan na nagpanalo kay Biden, hindi yan iboboto. Kaya lang naman umangat siya ng konti dahil sa mga nasa kolehiyo eh. Dahil iba ang alam ng mga kabataang yan. Iba ang ginawa ng mga profesor sa kanilang mga utak. Binrainwash sila na ang the best ideology ay socialism. Sosyalista. Ang mga medyo may mga topak sa ulong yung mga batang yan, hindi naman lahat. They don't know what the hell is socialism. It is a hairline difference between communism. Di ba nila naisip yung nangyari kay Maduro? That was 2018 hanggang ngayon. Nung nawala na si Hugo Chavez na nagpatakbo ng socialism at nilustay lahat ang pera ng salapi na sinasabing ibinibigay sa mga tao, ano ang kinalabasan? Namumulot ng mga makakain sa kalye. Yun ang lahat ng kinalalabasan ng socialism. That's right. Walang socialism na nagtagumpay dito sa balat ng lupa. Kasama ang Russia. Diba? Russia, namumulot ng makakain, yung mga matatanda, yung mga kabataan, walang mainom na gatas. Kaya sila napilitan na sumuko sa Amerika at gawin ng capitalism, free enterprise ang Russia. Di rin nyo alam yan. Kayong mga nag-aral ng kolehiyo dyan sa Pilipinas. Sapagkat mukhang sinusuportahan nyo yung ginagawa rito ng mga American colleges na napaka kagalang-galang dati ng mga universities ng Harvard, ng Yale, ng Georgetown University, ng Columbia University, University of California, Los Angeles. You son of a gun, you have no idea what life is all about. It is capitalism kung bakit maganda ang takbo ng daigdig. Kapag ang sosyalista ang humawak ng pagmamanage ng Amerika, Yun ang sinasabi kong katapusan na ng mundo. Hindi lang dumpster ang pagkukuhanan nila ng pagkain. Sabi yung dumpster, basurahan. Yun ang kinahihinatnan ng socialism. Bago sana kayo makinig dun sa mga television dyan at manood at sa mga radyo, bayaran niya mga journalista na yan. Isa sa nagbibigay dyan, si George Soros. Dahil yung matandang yun, mag-100 taon na yun, malapit na mamatay yun. As far as I'm concerned, he should just drop dead. That goddamn piece of bullshit.
Dinggi na
Pwede lang pasukin yung pwede lang pasukin yung kanyang malaking empire dyan na bahay na New York. Papasukin siya dyan ng mga nagagalit sa socialism. Anyway, isa pa sa mga issue, ang coronavirus strain. Huwag sana kayong overreact sa sinasabi na may bago na naman na coronavirus. Meron galing sa United Kingdom. Kaya aawatin muna ang mga eroplano na pupunta rito sa Amerika, pero nagiging overacting eh. Dahil sinasabi ng CDC na bagamat matuli nito makahawa yung virus na yan, kung tawagin nila SARS, coronavirus 2, hindi basta-basta makakadisgrasya. Pinag-aaralan pa lang. Wala kayong dapat na ikabahala. Yung iba, lockdown dito, lockdown doon, sarado mga eskwela, wag na papasukin ng mga tao. I don't know what the hell is going on. Kung yan kakuntsabahan niya ng mga kung sino-sino, pakinggan ito.
New variant, this new strand, this mutant, as you call it, could be 70% more contagious. That's a huge number. Regular, everyday person, that sounds like, whoa, 70% more contagious. That's really dangerous. How do they even come up with a number like that? Well, what they're doing is they're looking at the hotspots and the areas where the numbers of these kind of coronaviruses are picking up. For example, there was a time in Brooklyn when we had a big surge of these cases. So they're going to look at those areas and they're going to compare to what we had, for example, in March or April of last year, and they come with approximate statistics. This is not a very accurate science, as we mentioned, but that's what they're coming up with. And then they're looking at the actual virus itself and see if there are some variation of the initial genetic components that we've seen, and that's how they come up with this data. And also one other good statistics, Robert, that for people to know, and this is another repetition, under the age of 65, over 98% of people recover and do well. So while we need to be concerned about this and be careful, no reason to panic, and I hope 2021 would be a much better year for all of us. Yeah, more vaccines will come, more immunity and protections. We will be able to win this battle against this virus, and hopefully we can open up our economy and move on. 20% more.
Yeah, we have to move on. Ang daigdig ay kailangan na sumulong at hindi matakot magpa-iniksyon. Kailangan nyo ring marinig ito sapagkat marami talagang ayaw magpa-iniksyon o magpabakuna. Hear this.
Now, if you already have allergic reactions to food or other medications or vaccines in the past, always talk to your doctor before you get this vaccination, number one. And number two, a lot of times, these are very much manageable and it's under control. And some muscle pain, low-grade fever, chills, body ache, which are the common symptoms that you would see. Because
we're putting a mild version of this virus, they're a component of this, and that's a reaction of your body showing that they're building up immunity. So that's normal. And at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. You have to decide. But if you're over the age of 65, you should consider getting this vaccine. And that's where really the number of deaths are. Nursing home, people, as you mentioned, obesity and diabetes is a big ticket. And that's where your immune system is not as strong. And this virus can take over and really cause a lot of problems. But also we have a lot of therapeutics. Don't forget, in the last 9 months, as you mentioned, we're able to detect this very early, also treat it medically. So I'm optimistic that next year we'll have a much better year, as I mentioned before.
Okay, final question. People have made really bad decisions about their health based on misinformation. What do you say to anyone who's still on the fence about getting vaccinated?
I encourage them to look at the vaccine seriously, but again, I'm not going to push you or force you. This American system is based on freedom. It's a personal choice, and you have to see if this is right for you. But also, you want to stay healthy. You talked about the fact that people they're gaining weight, they have diabetes, they have obesity. This is a summary of the last 10 years of everything I've spoken about in the media, the ultimate manual. Get your vitamin D level checked. I just got a message from someone that has a low vitamin D. What kind of food, exercise, diet, and stay healthy. And that's what we need to do. That's our new resolution, Robert, for next year.
That sounds good to me. Dr. Samadi, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, totoo yan, Miss Lourdes Escaros. Ikaw ba ay laging tinatamaan ng araw, the sunlight, Miss Lourdes?
Usually hindi eh. First light, wala na ako sa bahay eh.
Nasa opisina ka na.
Oo, bihira kong tamaan ng araw yung schedule ko.
Yeah, kasi mahalaga eh. Yan daw ang talagang, panlaban dyan. Yung vitamin D. Okay? Talagang kahit na CDC, Center for Disease Control, yan ang nagpapatakbo actually, hindi ang WHO. Nandiyan dyan ang mga private and military experts na mga manggagamot na buhat sa mga katulad ng Stanford University, Hopkins, vitamin D. Siguro yung iniinom na gatas, yan. I-research nyo kung ano ang gulay na ang nutrient ay kasama ang vitamin D. That's right. At mahalaga yan. At sinasabi nga ni Dr. Madawi na expert kasi yun, epidemiologist na professor. Okay? Kaya ako pinarinig sa inyo yan. We want to look forward na sa pagkalat ng vaccine na makakarating na sa inyo ay magigiba na ang dating ng 2021.
Okay.
At maasa tayo na magiging manigo ang bagong taon. Meron ka bang maibabato rito bago tayo pansamantalang mamaalam? Miss Lourdes Escaros, otherwise?
Well, anyway, I just want to...
Papaalam na muna at makikinig sa'yo. Related Merry Christmas, and I'm looking forward of seeing you on air next Sunday. Go right ahead, Lourdes.
Happy New Year na lamang sa ating mga kababayan sa iba't ibang panig ho ng mundo. At ngayong taon, bibihira at maybe different yung aming pagsalubong ng bagong taon dahil ipinagbabawal ang mga paputok. Kung alam nyo sa Pilipinas, talagang kahit saan, kalye, loob ng bahay, parke, talagang meron po mga putukan yan. Pero medyo kakaiba ngayon dahil ipinagbabawal ho yan ng ating pamahalaan, ng aming pamahalaan. But anyway, tuloy ang bagong taon, maraming paraan para ho mag-ingay. Ano po? Maraming salamat. Happy New Year in advance sa ating mga kababayan. See you by 2021. Thank you so much. Dong Lino, Celle mula sa RMN New York, USA.
Sapagkat mahal kita.
Mga kasama mula ho dito sa Pilipinas. Bumabati ho sa inyo ng belated Merry Christmas at Happy New Year in advance. Ako si Radyoman Lourdes Escaros.
Ang mga susunod na opinion at komentaryo